Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast, where we try our best to be even-handed and unbiased and spread our criticism and support all across the gaming landscape. But folks, the people at Microsoft and Xbox are making that task nearly impossible. As we gather for our news roundup of the month of October, it's just Xbox, raising prices, putting out shitty products, making remakes that the alienating core fan bases. Everything is just Xbox, and everything's going downhill. Like, before we started recording, Andrew's like, my main takeaway is just, is doing our victory lap of we were right. We've been saying this forever, that the Activision buyout killed Xbox. It was all downhill from there, even though it's probably forecasted well beyond. But my God, man, it's just my reaction was earlier in our group chat. I was like, can we really say that Xbox is dead when all anybody is talking about is how Xbox is dead? It's like the Jack Sparrow. Well, you are talking about me, right?
Yeah, you have heard of me. I don't know that that's necessarily what Xbox fans are hoping for, though.
Yeah, I don't know if that would, for my preferred platform, if that would be my hope.
I think it's a monkey paw situation where probably like 6 to 7 years ago, they're like, man, I just wish people would just talk about us more. Okay.
Dude, he did the thing. He said the activation phrase. Dude, my nephews were here this weekend, and my sister was telling me that my oldest nephew, who is now in kindergarten, has already come home starting to say the thing.
No.
And I was just like, the youth, they're gone. They're gone, folks.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I said it because I'm too old for...
Yeah, I don't even... Same.
It bothers me that it's starting to register with me.
No, that's a touch grass moment, I think.
The one that upset me the most was somebody was saying, oh, we can't be so judgmental of the youth today. Like, in our day, like, we had our own stupid number vocal stim where we would do the 1738, like, from Fetty Wap. But I'm like, but that was actually referencing something. That actually had a cultural touchstone that it was referencing. Not
a fun fact about 1738 by Fetty Wap. There are some CNC programs that I put together early in my career that have that commented in some of the lines. as an inside joke between me and the other engineer working on the project.
Yeah, so it is not the same. Where 6.7 is literally just it is a meme of a meme. It is a reference of a reference.
You see, the only thing that registers there for me is 6 foot, 7 foot.
But that's not it. It's not that. They don't know who Lil Wayne is. These kids don't know real shit.
They don't know Wheezy?
No, they don't.
That's
all right, we're getting way off topic already.
We are, but I just want to say it is a perfect example of like the copy of a copy internet reality we now live in thanks to AI, and how it's just, even the non-AI things are just copies of copies that are entirely meaningless now.
To say something
so fast
is driving to the least common denominator doesn't even do it justice. We have fully gone below the floor.
Below the API, folks. Below the API.
All right, so let's bring it back to Microsoft, because again, that's...
Do we have to?
I'm tired, Grandpa Phil Spencer. Well, that's too damn bad. We are digging
I just want to go back to when Phil was my cool gaming uncle who wore bomber jackets.
I don't even think he does that
Ozempic
anymore,
Phil
right?
has ruined everything, as the internet would say.
Well, so I am curious, before we kind of get into the specifics, how has Reddit been reacting to these things, Matt? Have they accepted reality there?
Depends on where you look. Okay. Most of the neutral gaming subs generally err towards dunking on Microsoft, so this news is just like, oh yeah, we knew this. Thanks for confirming that. The Xbox sub is kind of just like a really sad place to go. Like, kind of just makes me feel bad about myself.
Okay.
Like, you'll go in there and there'll be people who are like, there's a split of like raw cope where it's just like, but guys, this is what we wanted all along. This is the future. And then there's the other half where they're just like, I'm so sad, guys. I don't want to anymore. Like, I guess I'm buying a PlayStation 6 because I don't want to buy a $1,200 Xbox branded computer.
All right. Okay. So yeah, kind of with that lens in mind, we found from reporting by Jason Schreier, the one and only at Bloomberg, he really, like, him and Gene, there's no one else nearly as relevant or important to the gaming media space, in my opinion.
I looked at
Sir, there is one Jeff Grubb.
Oh yeah, all right, fine.
like
We can count Jeff Grubb.
I don't know. Jeff's track record has not been the best of the past, I don't know, 18 months or so. But no,
Yeah.
I do kind of look at
Des
the
Corden, excuse me.
yeah, he's the true luminary here. But folks, he's not a journalist. He's just a blogger by his own admission. He's not held to the same standards as journalists. But like, I do hold
It's
them
just like
as kind
Fox
of,
News when they said that even though their title says news, they're an entertainment company.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I looked to Jason Schreier for like investigative reporting and Gene for kind of like cultural criticism.
Yeah,
They're kind of like
100%.
What about Matt Piscatella from Circana?
who also has like weird biases that people have been calling out. That did happen. That's a non-Xbox story that I had forgotten about. People were calling him out, like, that he put out this like data point that the PS5 has like, it was like outselling the PS3. It was like this really weird kind of misleading point because people are like, but what about the PS4, Matt? And he's like, it was like pulling teeth for him to admit that the PS5 is more successful at this point than it was for the PS4. It was just a weird highlight.
His data is also always U.S. based. It's not global generally.
Yeah, no, it was an odd thing. I don't remember. I did not prepare that story for the podcast, so I don't know all the details. So I don't want to necessarily accuse him
It essentially
of
is
something
that the PS5 has outsold the PS3 in the U.S. at this point.
Yeah, but then several tweets down, people are just like, why frame it this way? And it's like, well, yeah, it is also more
Because
successful.
it was lifetime
than
sales of the PS3 versus time allotted sales for the PS4.
I don't remember the exact details. I just remember people kind of calling him out for an interesting thing. I mean, I love it when the data freaks fight each other. I love it when they all have, because they're interpreting the data in their own, using their own, kind of heuristic that, is not free
As
of
Wale
bias.
would say, men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
Well, and
But-
like particularly when it comes to these sales numbers, which like they're basing off of looking at like supply chain numbers that have been published, and there is an art and a methodology that they are all working within their own style of. That's 100% true.
No, I love it
Thanks.
when Matt Piscatella and Chris String are going head to head,
Let them fight.
and I'm Ken Watanabe on the corner. It's like, yes, let the nerds fight.
So, speaking of nerds fighting, though, Jason Schreier has come out with a pretty interesting piece of reporting that for the last 2 years, Xbox has been pushing, or Microsoft has been pushing Xbox gaming division to produce a profit margin of 30%.
Which is
That's-
crazy.
That's a big number.
Yeah, which it's a big number. 30%
I mean,
profit margin.
Jason pointed out that the industry average is like 17 to 22. And
Yeah.
that like 30% is a studio who's like absolutely killing it for like 1 year. And
That's the industry
Xbox,
average.
up until
Xbox
that
is-
point, was 10 to 20%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's this, as we have seen and know, running a gaming business, if you're doing development and you're doing console, it's a capital intense business, which means your profit margin's going to be on the lower end. So this 30% number was really interesting to me, and I think his reporting kind of speaks to this, but that's what's driven a lot of their broader decisions that have gone,
Layoffs, price raises,
that are bad,
cancellations.
closures.
They
All
can't
those
take
things.
the risk of, long-term investing into a game that, when they release will only get them a 10% profit.
Yeah, and we know that is also then what's driving this shift to the third-party publisher, because the classic model.
I mean, the raw numbers just don't work in their
Well,
favor.
of video game platform holders are, yes, kind of underwrite, lose money on consoles to make up for it with software sales, and pushing everybody into Game Pass ate into software sales, and then subscriptions plateauing. So the gamble doesn't pay off, and you have now actively undercut what does work, selling your games. And okay, so now they got to sell them. We got to sell them everywhere.
There's just the raw numbers situation where, like, you're looking at the Xbox platform, let's be generous and say 35 million total sales at this point in its lifespan, even though the monthly numbers dwindling badly. I think the last one on Circana said 149,000 sold in September. You compare that to where the PlayStation's at. PlayStation's around 85 million, plus or minus a percentage. You know, that's a much larger group that you're trying to sell to, where you can have a similar attach rate mean so many more players. And then you add into that, you know, the obvious, they're also going for Nintendo with some of their stuff. And, you know, there's just another, you know, 150 million Switch users. That'll be another, you know, as the lifespan goes on, 100 plus million Switch 2 users.
So there's, as I just think about this 30% profit margin and what Microsoft wants to extract from its gaming division, I think this feels like Microsoft being a tech company. And I know Sony, you could call it a tech company, but it's not a tech company in the way that, like, we think of like Silicon Valley tech companies in
one of the best camera manufacturers in the world.
What?
One of the best camera manufacturers in the world.
Yeah, no, 100%. They make technology, but they're not a tech company. It's there's a distinction there. And
they don't have a slide in their lobby.
They don't have that would be one thing. But the distinction is, like, these tech companies are your Facebook, your Amazon, your Google. Yeah, these are the tech companies that Microsoft thinks of as its peers. And those companies all have significantly higher profit margins than something like gaming, where you are making technology. It's not a
because
tech product.
all of those companies are tech infrastructure. Right?
Exactly.
Where they sell products, they sell technology things, like Amazon sells Kindles and sells Fire Sticks, and Google sells Chromebooks and all those things. But those are like, you know, ancillary. That's not really 100%. That's not their core business.
No, their core business is infrastructure.
Microsoft is an AI company, folks.
Exactly. No, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, this is how Microsoft views itself, and it wants to have that sort of performance across all of its divisions. And that is leading to these sorts of choices where they're saying we need to extract more profit margin from a business that doesn't really have the ability to sustainably do that without going to the lowest common denominator type of business model, which is what we're seeing now, where it's going to become all AI slop, folks. Like, that's what they want to do. Microsoft is an AI company. That's not as much as Ben saying that tongue in cheek. That is the reality of how they see themselves.
Copilot is kind of okay.
Sure. At least it doesn't tell me, it doesn't want to suck me off. So, like, good for them for not doing that bullshit.
But let's be real here. Grok, it's a pretty anime girl. What is Copilot?
But ultimately, I just want to say, I think this Microsoft's framing of its own business and what its purpose is as a tech company and what its competitors are is what drives it to say, Xbox gaming division, you need to make a profit margin. That's not possible.
I also think, to an extent, that the entire mandate, you know, does boil down to the Activision buyout, where I feel like if the Activision buyout never happened, this type of a mandate wouldn't have been as harsh.
That's
because this is when Microsoft says, hey, we just gave you $70 billion. We need to see an actual turnaround on this.
Right. And we need to see, and to add, I totally agree, but to add, they want to see a return on it that would have been similar to if they spent it on AI and what they think AI is going to give them.
And like I said it in the group chat when this story popped, this feels like the type of thing you do to like an underperforming employee to just make it easier. Yeah, this is to make it easier to get rid of them. Yeah. Like, so that at the end of the year, they can go to the shareholders and they can be like, hey, Xbox isn't hitting the 30% that we wanted. This is why we can justify another round of significant layoffs, because that's the only way we're going to be able to continue to trim this company down until it is only making Call of Duty, a couple Forza games.
AI refresh Call of Duty.
Yeah, so these things in a timing manner all line up, because this mandate comes from Amy Hood, who is what's her title?
She's the CFO, I believe.
She's the CFO, and that came down in the fall of 2023. And guess what? Guess what closed in October of 2023? The Activision deal. They are literally 1-to-1.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, it just lines up with everything that we've seen happen.
They are fundamentally
Satya has started, really honing in on the gaming division and being like, we need to see a real reaction to what we just gave you money for.
You took too much of Daddy's money, needs to see that return.
Yeah, this is the
or you
the
will
rich
be punished.
Kid asking Dad for a small loan of $5 million to start a company, and Dad needing to see that company turn around.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is they also I think they fundamentally miscalculated what success level they would see from Game Pass. I think they expected.
We knew that they expected was it like 60 million Game Pass users, or was it like 100 million by 2030?
I'm pretty sure their forecast was like 100 million users by the end of the decade, and they're not. That's never even happened. I think they're over forecast. They're over expectations internally around what Gamecast would do is what really. That's the secondary driving factor of it all. The Activision purchase was going to support Game Pass by getting those games on there, and they thought it was going to just go bananas, and it didn't sell any really more consoles for them. It didn't actually make the Xbox console competitive with the PlayStation.
That's a good enough transition into Matt already kind of dropped it in a one-liner earlier, that the whole shakeup with what's happening with the next-gen console. And it ties into the point I was making earlier about, and what Andrew's saying about where Microsoft and Xbox as part of it sees itself and its peers in tech space, that they are turning their console market into that kind of ancillary product niche offering that these other companies do. That yes, they produce technological products, but it's not the core of their business. That this next-gen console being a $1,200 PC hybrid that Sarah Bond has said, quote, going to be a very premium, very high-end, curated experience. She is laying the groundwork for it to be that this is not meant to be a mass market device, that this is something that is purely going to be for a select customer base.
Microsoft has done this before with some of their hardware. I always talk about the Surface lineup from Microsoft as like one of the few things that they still continue to make computers out of. 8 or 9 years ago, they released what they called the Surface Studio, which was supposed to be their attack at the iMac, a creative focused all-in-one desktop computer that was like $3,200. And they just kind of quietly went along with it, and then 2 years later just kind of stopped making them and just kind of sunset the whole idea.
My thinking around this is who is this actually for, right? Because if they're saying it's going to be for this premium high-end consumer, the discerning customer who has the income and the desire for something powerful, you're describing PC gamers,
who are going to want something that they can build themselves, upgrade as need be.
Absolutely. So there's a fundamental philosophical disconnect on who is in the market for a console experience. They want this to be an Apple-like device. They are basically targeting who is Apple's market share. Wealthy people concerned with status who actually know nothing. Who want the ease of a plug and play, don't have to think about it, don't have to understand technology, don't have to understand computer.
Everything computer.
So you can just plug it in and have what's in their mind. They're saying, oh, this is the best experience. This is premium. This is in that nice kind of matte aluminum finish of, every Apple product. This is targeting the Apple consumer because, again, they see themselves as competing in that space.
There's some interesting also thought process that goes into. So if this is going to be a PC hybrid, that we'll call it, so that say that gives you the ROG Ally. Say that gives you access to the Microsoft Store, Steam, Epic, GOG. So they're getting rid of the incentive to buy off their own store. So they're losing a 30% profit off of sales if you buy things from Steam, GOG, Epic. Is it going to have a disk drive to be able to play Xbox physical games that they've been sunsetting? Because the backwards compatibility was one of the big selling points of this generation for Xbox, was that the Series X could play your physical library all the way back to the original Xbox. They're going to sunset that idea because they haven't released an external disk drive in a way for any of their digital consoles to be able to, plug in and add and be able to play through physical library? Or is this purely going to be like the ROG Ally, just a computer that can play your Play Anywhere games off the Microsoft Store, and that's it? You don't have your actual Xbox library walking with you.
I'm at a loss of who the consumer actually is here either, because...
And we said $1,200. It could be more than that. It could be less. What does premium mean to Microsoft? Is it going to be $1,500?
But this just is, the idea itself is further hurt by the fact that Xbox isn't going to make exclusives effectively anymore. Like the idea of
Sarah Bond said that exclusives are dead.
Right. So
and I know that interview was taken sort of out of context.
Yeah.
Where she was talking about, the largest games of the day aren't exclusives. You're talking about Call of Duty, you're talking about Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft.
My favorite corpo speak, gamers crave experiences.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean, Sarah?
It's funny that she references that, in a broad statement that's not media trained enough to not get thrown out of context in an interview, and then immediately turn around and have the 1 week sales of Pokemon Z to A be 5.8 million. A number that, how many Xbox games released in the past 5 years have met that in a year? Let alone a week. And we're talking about, Nintendo, who knows exactly how their exclusives work.
If you count Game Pass, lots of them, okay?
We've hit 3 million players.
This report on potential prices comes from Moore's Laws. Yeah, but that's a pretty extensive range, 800 to 1,200, so who knows?
And that can change, because who knows what macroeconomic situations will pop up for Microsoft in the next 2 years.
Yeah. Unless I was going to say that we're currently expecting next gens get talked about in 18 months, and
people are 2027, yeah.
So 15 sounds like if they're saying those prices now, how is that not going to be at least 100 or 2 more? I don't know. I would be shocked, because again, they're not going to be selling these. The idea of selling a console at a loss is no longer going to apply with this sort of
because
model.
if you're going to a point where you're like, we're going to be niche and boutique,
and premium,
know that you are going to sell less of them, so that you need to make more money off of each one.
Right. They're going to be making they're going to be pricing these for a profit.
Especially if they will have, your Steams, your Epics, your GOGs on there, because then they're also not getting a cut of that money from when you buy games off those stores.
Exactly. 100%. 100%. No, they will absolutely, I feel like this has got to be ending up around 1,500, because the other part of it is it has to be pricey enough for the people buying it to be like, I am buying something premium. And what is a PS6 going to cost at this point? 100? 1,000 probably, realistically, if we're being honest with ourselves.
There was a report that said that the PS6 is targeting half the price of whatever the Xbox will be. So I would think you're probably looking somewhere around 700 to 850.
But they're already asking for that.
Kill me.
That's why I don't think it's going to go higher than the Pro. Is where I'm.
You don't
kill me now.
I don't know. I think it will be.
I think if anything, it actually goes a little under where the Pro is as a selling point to make you want to upgrade.
Maybe. I don't know. That's too far in the future to really have a great view of. But it's just again, it adds to the fact that these are not wholly thought through rational decisions unless you are just kind of slowly unwinding things.
I mean, it kind of lines up with the idea of just doing what they did with the Ally and making it a full, hey, here's our software that we sell. Hey, Asus, make an Xbox. Hey, Lenovo, make an Xbox.
No, and we've said that's probably how they'll go. Right, exactly. And they don't, and that's why they are just going to make cheap. They're going to make games as cheaply as they can, and they're going to provide a place to play them through their software. And that's what Xbox will be.
And if anything, it almost makes sense for them in a way, because as Microsoft being the Windows company, you would think that they would want to have a truly Microsoft brand forward gaming computer. Try to regain some of that.
Well, then they should
face
actually make their
recognition.
fucking software work optimized on not even their hardware.
Okay, it's not their fault that their new skin that they put over the Ally X is buggy and requires updating, and I think I saw someone say that it was like an hour and a half of tinkering to get it to work like their original Ally.
I was talking about this in the video that we did last week, Matt, where somebody had to was trying to update the Xbox app, and it pulled a drop-down menu of 20 other Microsoft applications that needed to be updated as well, including Microsoft Teams, the Microsoft camera, all this shit that has no place being in a gaming handheld. And this is the unbloated version of Windows.
I'd like to
11.
point out that there was a report this week that Teams will now be able to report directly to your boss when you're not at your computer.
What do you mean? It's just always on, always.
I mean, Teams is always on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever.
No,
I manually turn mine off.
That was already a feature because if you just put
it has
the setting,
the orange
notify
and
me when away, and you can make it so that it pings you when their status changes of anyone, but you can see. But maybe it'll also now identify when you have a mouse jiggler.
Like when you're not in office. So like when you're not hooked up to office Wi-Fi. Targeting the remote workers that they've already hated for the past 3 years.
But Matt, you had something specific about the RGL.
Yes, I was getting there. We
Ally.
just tangented. So speaking of the Ally X and its buggy software, we have someone who has booted, I believe it was full Steam OS. I think it's just
Linux.
referenced
It's just Linux. They say it just says Linux.
I think it's referenced just as Linux, but I think the YouTube video, they booted Steam OS onto it and got a 30% performance boost out of it.
That's the 30% that they're looking for, folks. That's what the 30% gamers are looking for.
Which
how does this happen? Can you explain, how does this happen? How is that
because
even
Windows is such a bloated software, which is the whole point of why they tried to put the skin over top of it to try to shut down background Windows operations to give you a boost. Because if you ever want to have fun, just open your task manager and scroll through all of the different applications on your computer that are constantly doing things in the background that are slowly seeping away little bits of your CPU, little bits of your RAM, little bits of your storage capacity and your network communication.
But if I stop those things, my computer will stop working, right?
Yes, that's a fundamental part of Windows.
Yeah, you'll blue screen yourself.
That's Linux and SteamOS in particular are much more pared down and don't have all this stuff running in the background, which is allowing for the computer to run that much better in game because it doesn't have Teams sitting there being like, am I online? I think I'm online.
This tech YouTuber they installed Bazite, a popular Linux distro. So I don't know. It looks identical to SteamOS.
Probably a SteamOS fork because Linux has a billion forks.
My favorite meme, however, is the Linux user creating a folder and it's them entering the matrix. And excuse me, it's called a directory.
I mean,
not now,
even
babe.
to that extent,
not now, babe. A Linux user is creating a folder.
When I got my Steam Deck, for me to install EmuDeck required command prompting and going through that way. But by the time you got yours, Ben, they had updated the application to be an actual interface that ran through and looked like a program.
Yeah.
So why is Microsoft bad at what they do?
Because they have a bunch of other things that they want you to use.
Okay. So it's
if Microsoft sat there and was like, hey, we're going to sell this gaming handheld that runs Windows, but we need you to delete half of our operating system to make it, the best actual handheld that you can have. I feel like Microsoft as the parent company would be like, no.
Yeah. You want us to admit that we make a bad product? No, it's because they're all.
All right. I guess that's compelling.
Every tech company wants you to exist in their own walled garden. They want their thing to be everything.
And this has been a thing in multiple operating systems and manufacturers. So Samsung used to be known on their phones as the bloat kings because Samsung phones would come with just tons of Samsung apps and bloats.
Oh yeah,
I had gotten to a point where you can get rid of all that shit. It'll be there when you first boot the phone up, but you can go through and uninstall all of it whereas before you couldn't. At least Samsung has gotten to a point where they're like, okay, no one wants half of our stuff. We'll put it there in case they want to try it, but a savvy user is just going to go through and uninstall half of that shit immediately. And that's something that Microsoft, like, have you ever tried to uninstall Teams? Have you ever tried to uninstall the Xbox store?
I don't think
or the
I have
Microsoft
Teams.
Gaming store? Have you ever noticed how every time Windows updates, they come back?
It's literally
You're trying
malware.
to get rid of Copilot.
Yeah.
You ever notice that every time it updates, it comes back?
So I've heard someone describe it when they were setting their Ally up. It's like that. It was like doing an exorcism.
But like, why?
It's the whole reason they released the Ally X with the Xbox branding was because they got scared when Lenovo released the Legion Go S, which was their SteamOS version, and it was a 30% boost over the direct compare Windows version. And they're like, oh, fuck. They're releasing SteamOS on other devices, not just this Valve-made, can only buy off Steam, only turbo nerds know about device.
And the reason it has to have like Windows as an operating system is so that you can access more than
Windows
just Game
computer.
Pass. Right.
Because one of the big selling points of these handhelds is that it is essentially what would be more or less a gaming laptop replacement. But a gaming laptop can do, like I'm on my laptop right now, can do all your other computer stuff. So the handheld has to also be able to dock with a USB-C port, that you can output to a monitor. And, imagine showing up to the office and be like, hey guys, I'm here to work, and docking your Xbox Ally to do some hardcore word processing.
I'm inputting numbers into the Excel sheet using the joysticks. Speaking of turbo nerds, we've got the whole group of, Microsoft fans are just self-hating at this point, right? They love their
abuse victims.
Say they love their franchises. They love Halo, but they hate Halo too. They are so mad at the Halo.
Halo 5 and Halo Infinite were.
But the Combat Evolved remake, which with the stupid name of Campaign Evolved, only thought was
it's only the campaign, no multiplayer.
My thought was maybe them using the word campaign in it will like boost our SEO. That was my only thought.
Hell yeah. Just start putting the words Halo. Just put Halo before it in white. That's the first game, right?
Yes.
Effectively.
It's the original, yeah. And so fans are pissed because of all sorts of things being included. Like the big one that they're upset about
Sprinting.
Is the addition of sprint. And someone's like, it destroys the pacing of this game. And someone's like, this was not like, strategic, like tactical shooter. It's a run and gun FPS where you kill little grunts and elites going, what? What the fuck?
I do.
The thing I've seen people mad about is that it's literally just the campaign and that there's no multiplayer aspect to it.
There's no online multiplayer, but there is like campaign co-op. So there is multiplayer, just not like, competitive, like deathmatch multiplayer.
Wait, did the first Halo have online? It had,
but it was
Halo.
not as.
I thought that was Halo. I thought it was Halo 2.
It's not as good. Halo 2 is like kind of like
the goated.
It's kind of like the real full realization of
Got it. Okay.
the ideal of what we understand as Halo Online. But so this is people have seen and played this build, and the
Halo World Championships.
The most optimistic people are being like, it's a work in progress. It's some of the shit that they showed, like you could just see the frame drops and the stuttering. It's the usual Unreal Engine 5 bullshit. And they're not happy with it. And, as an outsider, played a couple of the later Halo games. I think I only ever played through the full campaign of Halo 3. I think maybe a little bit of Halo 5, and then like I dabbled for like 3 hours in Infinite.
But there's a very core memory of me in college with one of my teammates sitting down and co-op playing Halo Reach from start to finish in one Saturday and just like skipping 2 meals.
That's some real gamer shit right
Classic.
There might have been a lot of like Watermelon 4 Loco involved.
Yeah, so
even more classic.
So this to me is like, I don't even know that I would pick it up, even if it gets like, good critic reviews. I'm sure that, the fans are gonna hate on it forever. And
I mean, there's something very meme-worthy about the Halo director wearing a PlayStation shirt.
yeah, some old, I think it was one of the original, maybe it was one of the original devs, or it was an old Xbox exec, is like, yeah, this is gonna happen. This is, you gotta, with the trajectory of Microsoft, as we have just spent the first 30 minutes of this episode talking about, this was inevitable type of thing. You kind of got to get past the pain in that way. Then he said, however, having your lead dev wear the PS6 shirt in your reveal, or the PlayStation shirt in your reveal, is a little bit of a slap in the face.
It is.
It's a little
Definitely.
bit too soon.
Yeah.
I get that.
It's like breaking up with your girlfriend and then immediately the next weekend you're going out and seeing her with an engagement ring on.
So you're not, just to see the original Halo in a kind of modern context, not interested.
Here's the thing, is that people have made the point that I think is fair, is that we're all for remakes, remasters, whatever level you want to call it, when games are trapped on old hardware or whatever.
Master Chief Collection
the original
exists.
game is accessible and playable.
Yeah, fair.
Could buy
Which is why they haven't ported the Master Chief Collection.
I do think I own the Master Chief Collection on PC. So
yeah, I got it on sale for like $10 at some point.
So it's like I could, if I wanted to, I could have been playing this. And so yeah, it's got the Unreal Engine sheen. It looks more modern.
I kind of hate the Unreal Engine sheen.
Yeah, in a lot of things I tend not to like it. I only like it when it's like used to kind of the surrealist kind of art. It's used like kind of surrealist artistry. But even then, it's got a little bit of artificial. It dives a little bit into the uncanny that I find hard to get past. But yeah, but they're talking about, oh yeah, we're using nanite technology and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, and that's why it runs like ass. So
I appreciate how essentially every time staple Microsoft IP releases on PlayStation now, we get the same recycled meme of
the cuck,
Dev
the
as
cuck
girl,
yeah,
kissing guy, or like being like, "Are you sure?"
To PlayStation with the Xbox cuck in the background.
Yeah, Xbox cuck.
Yeah. I've seen it explained that the only reason that this is in Unreal is because of the release to PlayStation, that it would have been too much work to try to get the original stuff working on PlayStation architecture. So it's just put it in Unreal.
Well, it's like
it can go anywhere.
with the Outer Worlds 2 that recently came out.
It's technically not out yet. We're in that gray area of, what do you consider the real release date? When early access happens, or when full
the
access?
Outer Worlds 2 runs worse on PlayStation right now, and Digital Foundry was making the assumption that it was entirely dropped last minute on the Outer Worlds devs, where it's like, oh yeah, you're going to PlayStation day one. I'm like, oh, cool. I guess we'll start working on a port, I guess.
Which they should have seen coming when a lot of, like, 2 of the original 4, the notorious only 4 games are going from Xbox to PlayStation were Obsidian games, the Pentiment and Grounded. So that surprise shouldn't have been, shouldn't have been that much of a surprise to them. Let's be fair. But yeah, it's just like, as an outsider, non-Xbox fan, non-Halo fan, I can look at this and be like, oh, isn't it funny that all of their fans are just clowning on this and hating it? But then I'm like, also like, yeah, it's kind of bad to see, like, to understand that this is a formative genre touchstone.
This would be like seeing Mario releasing on Xbox.
To see it kind of bash, but like, oh my god, seeing photorealistic Mario would probably haunt my dreams. Porting Mario into Unreal Engine 5, so I can see every pore on his red bulbous nose.
There's an interesting parallel here, where the series generation started with, our big game is Halo Infinite, and you're gonna come to Xbox to play Halo Infinite. And now, as the series generation is winding down, hey, so the first Halo game, that's going to PlayStation.
I feel similarly as you, Ben, but I also, the license this can give Sony to be more shitty is what makes me the most sad about all of this. Is just like, ultimately, Sony can now be less creative and can.
They didn't need anybody's permission
True.
to remaster The Last of Us for the 5th time.
True. I mean, that's the thing though. They already are kind of on that path, and I just fear the acceleration through what happens with Xbox and
Yeah, but so it was really weird. It was weird for me. Like, I think I even texted you guys a picture of it. It was really weird booting up Gears of War on my PlayStation and seeing the Xbox Studios logo as the kind of splash screen. But comparing it's like I had the interest in playing Gears because to me it was a more niche offering. I know it's not, but say to me, I had no experience with Gears where I did have some experience with Halo. So I was more interested in testing that out than I am with Halo, because I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm fairly sure I understand what that experience would be like just with a fresh coat of paint and some the one bit that has been hysterical that people it's a still shot that people have shared a lot is that they put in like the ammo counters on all the weapons, and some that's fine, like the assault rifle, that's fine, but to put it on the needler is hilarious. To put an ammo counter on the needler where literally the whole point of the gun is that the ammo is all visible. It's like you can already see how much ammo is left. It's not even that they put like
that
a number.
requires counting.
No, but they didn't even put a number counter. It's just lines. It's just the exact same.
It's the
but
same
worse.
visual. It's just flattened. It's
worse.
dots.
It's like little lines to indicate each needle. It's like you already have that. You already have that in a much cooler and more engaging and immersive way. So I was just like, okay, now I see what everybody's complaining about. That is just the slopification of things.
Yes.
And that is a perfect segue into the little bit that Andrew wanted to bring in. The slopification of Halo itself is, what we're seeing there already evident.
Yeah, we had insiders from the Halo studio got quoted as saying, generative AI will be woven into every aspect of its future development, from core workflows to world building and enemy AI. And this came from Jason Blundell, and I believe, hold on, let me
I know
make sure
I've
that's
seen
the
that
right
name
guy,
before.
right? Make sure that's the right guy who said it. Yeah. No, that's a PlayStation version. Sorry, PlayStation's also making AI games. Where was the guy? Halo Insider Rebs Gaming, allegedly connected, said that this is where this quote comes from. And he walked it back and said, no, this I was more speaking to like the operational side of things, but I don't know.
Wasn't there a Jez article or something that came out later in the week where they were like, well, like every time you use Photoshop, you're using AI when you do the select tool.
I don't think it was
so
just
it's more AI like that.
Somebody did. I know what you're referencing. Somebody else said like, Photoshop has generative fill, for when you're doing a background or something like that. I forget who.
But yeah, I don't really believe that. And I think maybe the Needler having its own ammo box might be an example of them using AI.
That
poorly.
screams AI slop to me.
Me too. That was I saw someone tweet about that specifically, and I was like, well, that's ridiculous. And it was like a day after these AI comments were out, or maybe two, I don't know, but 100%. It immediately was like, all right, well, this has got to be AI slop, and we're just seeing it in action. So your next Halo game, they did also say AI is used in generative like encounters all the time in gaming already. Like they said that's what they were speaking to, is
and again,
kind of a cop out. That's not the same.
It is, and it's because like the use of the term AI has gotten so confused and conflated in this past like 2 years that
purposefully
purposefully that they're able to kind of cover their asses with that whole thing. It's like, yeah, we use how do you think your all your NPC enemies work? They're using AI all the time.
Right, exactly. That's a different thing, you motherfucker. But that's just a fun little bit for when Halo 6. Are we on 6 or what will it be? Halo 7? I don't even
7,
know.
Halo 5, Halo Infinite.
So 7. So Halo 7, Master Chief will have his health like tattooed onto his arm or something.
He's got 7 fingers. All the better to kill the flood. Speaking of, flood, what's being flooded is the Counter-Strike 2 skin market. Our one non-Xbox story.
Hell yeah. Valve more specifically. They've pulled a funny goof on their Counter-Strike community and effectively devalued the skins marketplace to the tune of $2.5 to $3 billion globally. And I just gotta say, this is cool. I don't care that these consumers are being hurt. This is very fun and good for Counter-Strike. It's good for the community, and bravo to Valve. A+ work. A+ work. I have no notes. This is a very funny to like effectively do a rug pull but not make yourself any richer. Yeah. A+. Like that's very funny. Good work. These sickos making money off of CSGO skins shouldn't be making money off of them anyways. So I do not feel bad for them. No, it's insane.
Like it's a crazy market to the point of like there's an entire streaming like subset of people who just loot box gamble in CSGO so they can sell them. And like imagine how many fucking children are watching that.
Yeah. And ultimately I think Valve did this because they really don't want to be forced to become a market maker, and like they are very like effectively they are making a public market of assets you can invest in that is entirely unregulated. So they don't really want to do
Honey, I know you're mad, but I invested all of our life savings into CSGO crates. And if I just get that one knife.
Imagine filing for bankruptcy, having to remortgage your house, having to tell an accountant or a lawyer,
oh my God,
my CSGO skins are worthless now.
Yeah.
They slurped my apes.
And Valve did this in a very cool way because they made what was previously something you could only get by luck through purchasing crates, you can now get by trading in 5 of like the tier below that level gear for this most highest tier gear that was previously only available via purchase. So good on them for making their community a little less gambling and transaction focused. It's a little bit more about the game and gameplay again.
Dude, the Reddit comment that got the most upvotes on it is like, people did spend a fair bit of money buying these crates. However, you spent your money on literally useless cosmetics. So
yeah,
you get what you fucking deserve.
Yeah. Like if you truly felt that paying even $50 for a CSGO skin was a worthwhile investment, that's on you for it now being worthless.
Dude, this one's saying the butterfly knife Autotronic having a 7-day high price of $1,800, now $600.
Yep.
I mean, that's still a shit ton of money.
Yeah, it's still crazy. The values are still unreasonably high for what we're talking about, which again is literally useless video game skins. But alas,
how dare you? That knife looks really cool when I use it.
You're right, and actually that does inherently have more value than any cryptocurrency. So good on you.
Yeah, looking cool is something.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it's only looking cool in game.
Imagine like going out, like trying to date, and then their like pickup is like, yeah, I've got like $10,000 worth of CSGO knives. Like, yeah, but I have real knives.
Yeah, you're just like you're someone who's just like talks about their nest egg and how they have like this asset base built up.
We're set for life. But dude, I'm just imagining Black Tuesday for the Counter-Strike market. Imagine like all these guys like logging in to check their portfolio of skins. This day is like, what's this? What's this? A new update? And just like, oh my God, I'm ruined.
Everything now in the red.
Oh man,
heartbreak.
I much prefer when I wake up and be in the red because my president decided to tweet something angrily.
Yeah. Well, that's on you for not being, in the know the day before when he planned it all so that people could just trade against that.
Hey, I just follow the Pelosi trade tracker. on Reddit.
Making myself a tight little profit there.
Pelosi index, it'll do well for you. There's some upside. But Valve, continues to be the fun-based libertarian organization that we expect it to be. So
Again,
good on them.
You can always count on libertarians to do something at the very least very funny.
Yeah.
That is the
It
one
is
thing.
funny.
That's the one thing you can count on. All right. Was there anything else non-Xbox that we wanted to add in at the end of this episode? One little interesting thing: Claire Obscure Expedition 33 got its first Game of the Year award. That was cool. Wee hon.
Go
It won't
Frenchies.
win the real thing.
What was that?
It won't win the real thing.
Keep coping.
It's gonna be Hollow Knight Silk Song, and you know it.
I'm more and more confident now that it's not going to be that. The one that really scares me. The further we get out from it, I'm more and more confident that it won't be Silk Song.
Are you? Is Hades 2 that released, right? Officially?
Yeah, it's had its 1.0. Yeah.
When are you gonna pick that up? Soon or no?
I think we talked about it last time. I'm gonna buy the Switch 2 version when it comes out for physical, which is later in November. I don't know when I'll play some of it. I don't know even if I will play some of it. Yeah, I'll dabble a couple runs. I don't know. I don't want to do too much of a repeat of last time. It's just the roguelikes just meh.
Yeah. No,
It's just like
Ninja Gaiden has me intrigued. I've been thinking I might try it out.
I was thinking about it. I played the first 2 episodes of Dispatch, the ex-Telltale people, the superhero animated show with Critical Role. Almost everybody from Critical Role has some minor to major role in it. I thought it was pretty good so far.
What is it just like a visual novel type thing?
So Telltale games are like defined by narrative, choice and consequence with very, very light gameplay elements to it. So this obviously is largely, all of them are largely, it's like dialogue choices. You make choices that so-and-so will remember this, and it will affect your outcomes later down the road.
Got it.
But then it's the major gameplay is QuickTime events, which you can turn on or off in this one. Like you can have a more cinematic experience and kind of just turn those off. But this one also incorporates a management sim gameplay to your shift as a dispatcher, as a superhero dispatcher, which is like not super in depth and was pretty fun. I somehow, I guess, almost failed the tutorial. I was in the 1% of people who just barely passed the tutorial, but then was in the 1% who had a perfect first shift. I had no failed calls. I answered all calls, all success. I don't know how I came that close to failing. I was very interested to see that on the results screen. But yeah, it's a bit controversial in this day and age in terms of the episodic release structure. A lot of people don't like, and I can understand why. For me, as it was how it hit, where it landed, what I was looking for, I was like, okay, I'm like kind of in between games, like to play this now, I'm interested, and it's not the worst thing in the world to kind of push against my normal play structure that I'm sure I'll be playing something else when the next episode comes next week, but it'll be good to take a break and for one night, a week for the next 4 weeks, play the new episodes when they drop. But so far, I'm enjoying it. The writing is good. All the voice acting is spectacular. It's funny to think of. You got to think of course, why am I blanking on his name? Jesse from Breaking Bad.
Anthony.
Is it Aaron Paul?
Aaron Paul.
Yeah, Aaron Paul.
I'm like, he's got 2 first names. Why am I
Aaron
blanking
Paul.
on? I feel like I was going to get one of them wrong. No, you got to kind of think of him as a more experienced voice actor than you would maybe normally think. He did BoJack. He's done a lot of like animated stuff. He was in the most recent season of Invincible and some other things. But no, he does a really good job as the main character. I've enjoyed that.
Cool. That's cool.
What I was going to tell you, Andrew, is that if you wanted to play Ninja Gaiden, the Master Collection with 1 through 3 is on sale for $20.
Okay, good to know.
Those might be too old for you. Some of those might be too old for you.
Yeah, I know.
Coward.
Absolutely. I don't argue with that.
I was contemplating Ninja Gaiden, but I don't know. I saw some things that were like some dated level design. So I'm like, I can usually get past that. But then the one that actually got me, and it's me being a coward and a skill issue, was like there are all these combos and stuff, including ones where you've got to like do like a half rotation on the thumbstick, and I'm like, that might be too much for me. I'm all for difficult games, but that's creeping too far into fighting game territory.
Yeah.
For me. Whereas that is a level of skill that I have not been able to achieve. So apparently you don't have to do that. You can just do like the swallow
good at
drop
the tappy
thing.
tap the buttons. But
Meanwhile, I'm going to be all in on Soul Calibur 3 when it comes to the PlayStation Classics release.
Matt is having a good time. All right, folks. I did hear somebody they were comparing Soul Calibur as a fighting game corollary to Ninja Gaiden, where it was like how they have low skill floors, high skill ceilings, where you can just jump in and kind of button mash and feel and look cool. But then you can, when you actually know the character's moveset and have all those things like locked down, you feel like a god, So that was an interesting comparison. All right. I think that will do it for us this week and this month. We'll be back next week with our episode. We're rewinding a bit. We're talking about Ghost of Tsushima as the retrospective now that Ghost of Yotei is out. I have finished Ghost of Yotei. Platinumed Ghost of Yotei. Andrew, did you get any more playtime in?
Yeah, I've played a lot. Are
you
down,
still?
I've got like 2 regions done.
Are you still ping-ponging between?
Yeah, I'm just kind of bouncing all around.
The regions? You haven't taken out the Oni or the Kitsune themselves yet?
No. I'm about to take the Oni out, and then...
The Oni was probably my favorite fight.
Okay, cool.
He's just got so much aura.
Yeah, he's sick.
All right. But yeah, we'll be talking about Ghost of Tsushima next week. I got to do some prep for that because it's been a little while since I played Tsushima. Like, I got to do prep mainly just to make sure that I have a clear distinction in my mind what was different between Tsushima and Yotei, right? Because Yotei is obviously so much more present. All right. So that'll be our agenda for the next week, and we will see you then. Bye. Thanks for sticking around, folks. Bye-bye.